All right, it is bitbudha back again with another episode of the Blacks in Cybersecurity podcast. And today we have Cam Johnson, who is a cybersecurity professional who has been in the industry for a while. So we're just going to ask him a bit about his experience so far. So Cam, you could do a intro as well.
Thanks so much. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Cam Johnson, cybersecurity professional, former software engineer, been in the industry for about 7 years between both of those career paths. Looking forward to meeting with you all.
7 years. So this been a grip. It's been a while. So how did you start in the tech industry? Like, what was your initial initiation into it?
I started out as a software engineer way back at ADP. I got an internship from a career fair. I went to Kennesaw State Go Owls. Took advantage of one of their programs, got into QA testing, did good in that round, and then got lucky enough to be a software engineer working in the access and identity management team with shared services that back at ADP. And you learn a lot in that type of space, in all honesty. So that's kind of how I got started in tech.
And so back then, when you started, you said 7 years ago at ADP, you started. So what languages did you start off with?
Um, Java, JavaScript. Then I quickly had to learn things like React, TypeScript, like anything that they needed, like that's kind of thing they don't tell you in school. You learn what the job needs. And so you weren't really coming prepared with everything, but you came with the mind to learn anything. So I was learning whatever they threw at me, in all honesty.
Wow, and
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a beautiful point. I feel like some people meet because they're always like, oh, what language should I learn? What language should I learn? But like when you get on a job, all this language you spend like 5 years learning, the job may need you to learn this new thing that came out last week. So you just always got to be willing to like learn. And I think that's the role of like technologists in general because this is you we can't learn everything, right? But as long as you're willing to learn and just catch up to speed and learn on like the job as well, I think that could be a beautiful process. So what interested you in like the cyber stuff, right? Because you are coming from software engineering, so what made you jump to the whole cyber realm of things?
Um, I guess it's a long story, so you have to kind of flip it on its head a little bit. So I actually wanted to get into technology. Started as a computer science major, and then my brother he sent me this video of this guy at MIT executing a brute force. He did a dictionary attack on some passwords, and I think it was like an 8 minute video, and the guy ended up cracking like 95,000 passwords. And so I was terrified and intrigued at the same time. So I was like, okay, how do I get into this? So I remember, I had some buddies of mine working in cybersecurity. So I ended up changing my major from computer science to IT. And Kennesaw at the time had like this security program that you can kind of get into. So that was my concentration. And so I was actually trying my hardest to fight to get into cybersecurity at the beginning of my career. And software engineering is kind of what I ended up in. So it was kind of like I was a fish out of water for a bit. And then I would say give it 3 years in the software engineering role. I was consistently networking, and I kind of built a family inside of ADP that was in cyber, and, you know, enough time spent there, the opportunity kind of presented itself for me to move on over to their team, and so I kinda took advantage of that.
That's definitely a beautiful journey because I think a lot of times people in cyber and tech is like, I want this role, right? And then they just think, oh, like they're just going to learn it for like a month or two, and then it's like immediately I'm gonna be a penetration tester or something like that, right?
Yep.
But sometimes you have to start off somewhere else and gradually build your way in. Like so, like they always say, once you're in the door, it's easier to like level up and scale. So I'm glad that you
Yeah.
kind of like had that mindset already because I feel like a lot of people come with the instant gratification mindset and then they kind of get lost in the sauce. But you saying like, no, I want to go here, and I'm gonna do this for now as I build myself up to that space. So that's definitely beautiful. Yeah. So you being in like college and then coming into cyber, how did you even stay disciplined throughout all of that?
So it really wasn't easy, is how I put it. So I think the first thing is I had to kind of get used to working my 9 to 5 job professionally, and that was kind of a difficult transition for me. Having to commute to work for an hour, having to learn like the nuances of software engineering because I didn't finish with a software engineering degree or computer science degree. I had to kind of learn it on the job, and then knowing what I wanted next was kind of difficult. And so I really just had to sit down for about an hour every day and just kind of keep learning in all honesty. So like my first, I guess, testament to that was trying to get my security plus like in year two of software engineering. And I would literally I bought the book, I'd sit down, I look up like Professor Messer on YouTube. If you've never heard of him, he's a great resource. And I watch his videos on the way back home from my commute, and I spend an hour just studying every day to try to pass these exams. I was to get my security plus, which was I think it was useful in getting my first career in cyber. Like I think certifications is a whole topic to dive into in all honesty. But yeah, that's how I try to remain disciplined. I fail sometimes at it. I am not perfect, I promise you.
Yeah, it's like it's a journey, honestly, for everyone in tech. Just staying because this you constantly got to learn. Like that's the one thing that drew me towards tech, but also one thing that's kind of annoying. Like there's always stuff to like learn, and yeah, definitely. Congrats on getting your Sec Plus. So from the time you got your Sec Plus, right, to the time you
Mm.
got your job, right, how was that time frame, or what were you doing during that time frame? Like, were you applying to jobs before you got it, or did you just apply like after you got it, or did you have a friend in the company? Like, how was that journey from you getting your Sec Plus to landing your first cyber role?
By the time I got my security plus, I think I had already built up a pretty decent sized professional network in ADP specifically. I knew quite a few employees. I had gone to introduce myself. I asked them what they had done. And so it was, hey, I just got the certification. I'm looking for a new opportunity. And the guy literally said, hey, I got 8 openings right now. What do you want to do? And so it was, when preparation meets opportunity, I kind of was able just to seize it at that moment. So I was lucky to not be able to, or to not have to, I would say, grind too hard for my first cyber role because they already knew me. They had 3 years of FaceTime with me inside the company. And so like I always recommend if you want to get into cyber, do it where you're at before you try to go find it somewhere else because people won't trust you elsewhere.
Mm. No, that's definitely critical. Like building up the what do you call it, like the social capital in
Mm.
your internal network in your company, and then events outside of that. That's definitely the best way to go. Because I believe they say like I'm not 70 or 80% of job like placements. They're just like by warm leads, like
Yeah.
majority, right? A lot of people
Yeah.
are doing the whole AI, the AI stuff now, but warm leads is always the best route to like go. Your thing blurred again for a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah. I might have just changed the angle. I don't know why it's doing that. That is frustrating.
Yeah, or just try like a different camera. Are you using like an external camera or using your
Yeah,
laptop
I'm
or
using the
computer
external camera. I'm
camera?
just gonna switch to the laptop camera and be done with it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry about that, guy.
I think when it clicks start on the top left.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, now he needs 5 seconds for a transition. Yeah, so action.
So yeah, you getting your Sec Plus right, and then networking with people in your company. That's definitely the smartest way to go. Like definitely like speaking to your managers or like people in different teams. Like, hey, I'm trying to get this. I just got this cert. I just got this cert. Like, what you got? And like the fact that he had like 8 placements already for you, like that's a golden spot to be in. Because
Yeah,
the Sec Plus does help, right? But it's still hard, right? Because even
yeah.
I know people with the Sec Plus and their masters who still can't find jobs. So
Mhm.
definitely being in the company and being able to scale like up in the company is a beautiful route to take. And what other certifications are you focused on now? Or like where's your career growing to now?
So what I'm focusing on right now is the AWS Solutions Architect, and so my current capacity doesn't have me necessarily in a hyper technical role, but I have a desire to go back to that in more of like an enterprise security or platform engineering space, and so I said I wanted to do that years ago, and I kind of got distracted by other life stuff, and so I'm going back to finish that one up. The plan is for that things like Terraform, just learning like more technologies, using AI in between all of that, and so I just I see there's a lot of growth in that space. There's a lot of need for it, and I like to always align myself with what the industries are needing when it comes to a skill set. So going back to get my AWS stuff taken care of, gonna probably work on some personal projects and then move on to automation and then the next thing and the next thing.
Cloud stuff? The cloud stuff and AI is like huge now. Like, I swear, like everyone and their grandma is on this cloud and AI stuff. And I feel like we should like go even deeper into this because AWS has had a blackout like yesterday, right? And I didn't even realize, like I knew of AWS, but I
Mm.
didn't realize how many companies like were using it, right? So we had a blackout, and there was like 1,000 plus companies who that's sort of like wiped out, right? So since you are getting into the whole
Mhm.
cloud and like AWS stuff, from your like understanding, what happened or why did it happen?
From what I saw online, one of their internal services called DynamoDB, which is it's like a serverless database. It started having some type of issue. So likely, I haven't done a super deep dive into it, so I'm guessing here, but likely somebody made a change. It caused a service disruption, and U.S. East one in Virginia went down. Now, um, the world runs around the East Coast, and so most major companies use that region as well. And so if that goes down, then there's likely going to be people who don't have the proper failover or don't have the system built to kind of fail over gracefully. They're going to be impacted. I don't even think the outage lasted that long, but it had to come back up. And when things come back up like that, I'm looking at videos last night as it's coming back up, AWS is rate limiting people's access to it. There's potential impacts across the globe to other regions and availability zones as well too, which I found kind of interesting because the whole point of having AWS is the lack of reliance on specific regions and availability zones. Like AWS is split between like regions, and then in that region they have availability zones you can kind of dive into. But what I kind of heard as well is some of those services have their home sourcing and routing within that US 1 East region. And so even if you are in another place, you could be potentially impacted. I don't really like the sound of that. I want to dive deeper into it. This is kind of fresh off the news. So I want to see everything that happens. So take what I say with a little grain of salt. But that's my understanding of what occurred. I think everybody kind of saw the impacts of it across the world. Like if you use sites like Down Detector, you're gonna see this site, your favorite video game is down because people are using AWS consistently. It's the most known, it's the big largest cloud provider for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely very humbling, because even earlier I was researching was Amazon Bedrock, right? It's like the new framework to make AI agents. So I was studying that, and then in the documentation they were saying that um, US one East or one US, what's it called? US one East. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
the one
yeah.
in the Eastern Virginia,
Mm,
right? That's their oldest, like from my
mm,
understanding. And then it started in 2006. And the interesting thing about the bedrock stuff, I feel like in you and your studies, you might kind of overlap with this stuff because it's like AI is huge now. But
mhm,
they were saying that with US one East, since it's the oldest, it has features on Amazon Web Services Bedrock that the other ones don't have, right?
mm.
So I guess like when the new services come out, the US East is like the primary, like this is where everything is at. And it's just, it's humbling, it's exciting, and it's humbling. But I feel like this is definitely stuff that we should just like learn more, right? That definitely the cloud stuff is stuff that we should definitely look more into. Have you looked into the other clouds as well, or AWS is like your primary focal point?
I've worked in Azure a little bit, so I've touched Azure for a while, and I've looked at GCP, but I haven't really dove into it like I would like to. And so familiar, but
Mhm.
not. I don't. Well, I can't say I have hands-on expertise, especially with GCP. So I would say AWS, Azure, and then GCP are probably like how my skills would rank up.
Right, right, right. No, that like makes sense because you got to go like where the market is at. You got to go where the demand is at. And I wanted to ask you a bit more about your programming experience because you said that you started with Java, JavaScript, and then when the frameworks came, you had to hop on the React as well.
Mm.
So from your time in Java and JavaScript, like what things did you, for new software engineers, right, or people in cyber as well, what features or what parts of it do you think people should be aware of or focus on with Java and JavaScript?
Mhm. I'll kind of take your question as just what should a new technologist kind of be aware of as they get into designing code and or trying to build systems or working. And I think that
Mhm.
you have to be okay with the idea of taking ownership of the systems that you're dealing with. So I think for any new software engineer joining a team, you need to understand the stack. You need to understand the features of your application, not only how it works at a low level. So like what are the main functions and core functionality, but even before you get into the code, what is the business input and output to this thing? And so like we used to deal with permissions back in my old job. Like how do we get back into these services and everything? And I'll be honest, I didn't get it when I first started. Like I was like, okay, I got to learn all this massive code base. That's it. But you start with the business context first, and that helps you kind of start making sense of what you're doing and who your customers are. And I had nothing but internal customers. And then it started making sense. Okay, we have this integration. So I think business context was the first thing I would have, somebody be aware of. Don't hyperfixate on it, but just know this is what my team is serving up. This is our objective. These are the people that I need to be able to go to. And then from there, it's kind of building on taking ownership of your code base and the features that you make from end to end. So kind of having that mindset to do it right the first time, which you won't know how to do. You're gonna mess up, but you know, learn. When you start debugging stuff, take the small features as a new junior software engineer. Um, Learn the ins and outs of your code base. So when you get free time, deploy it locally, debug it, go through the functions. You should know what all the functions do in the code that you have, or at least some of them, or you should be able to tell me where things are going across all those platforms. Again, mistakes that I made, I was just, I got a feature and I'm figuring it out one at a time. And I think the most important thing too is just ask a whole lot of questions. Like, go seek an answer. And you can't find it, go ask the proper question to somebody, and be willing to try and fail consistently too.
Mm. No, all of that is like beautifully said, especially the business context part. Because actually, one of my managers was recommended that to me because I'm leaning towards a more technical route in my job now. But one of my managers was like, do not forget the business context. He's like, regardless of how technical you are, please understand the business context and the people side of things. Because at the end of the day, like, it's a business. It's not just like, I mean, some people make code like code for fun, but if you're working for a company, it's usually for a reason, right? Like a product or a service, right? So it's like, just make sure you understand the business context to be able to speak to the people and the programs as well. So being able to go in between both like realities and both worlds is definitely really, really important. And earlier, you were telling me that you were like, I'm gonna go way off topic now. You were telling me that you're really deep into anime,
That
right? So tell me about that, because I feel like, wait, first I want to say this. I used to watch a lot of anime in middle school and high school, and around my time, anime was not cool,
yeah,
right? In my time, like, anime was like, oh, you're a weirdo, you're a nerd, you're a geek, otaku over there, right? Stay over there, right?
yeah.
But now it's like everyone is on this anime wave, and I'm like, damn, when I was on the wave, it wasn't even a wave, So tell me about your experience with that.
I mean, I've been watching it since before it was cool, back during the Blockbuster
Mhm.
days. I mean, like, me and my brother used to go
Wow.
and pick up, like, like the VCR tapes and stuff like Rama. We used to watch like Inuyasha on Adult Swim, like, all the classics. We used to watch that type of stuff. And I mean, it was a huge part of my childhood. And I think that,
Mhm.
anime, video games, and just tech in general, that's how I got into tech. Like, I built my first gaming PC. Which
Mhm.
ended up giving me my first internship, because I talked about that on my internship with ADP. I was like, hey, I wanted to build a computer from scratch, so I did. I got a job at Best Buy, and I'm like, hey, I was selling games and Xboxes to pay for parts for my PC. I met some people.
Wow.
I was like, this makes sense for who I am. And so, like, yeah, gaming, anime, all that is kind of core to me being in tech in the first place, because that
Wow.
is part of my identity. So yeah, I love anime. I'm a huge anime head to this day. Anybody that knows me knows I'm into it. I mean, now it's cool. So I'm just watching TV. Like, nobody cares. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely used to have to kind of
Yeah.
like hide it back in the day. Like, it wasn't a cool thing, but it's dope now.
Yeah. Wow. And yeah, that's a beautiful journey, because I think gaming like influenced a lot of people to get into tech, like gaming and like that whole culture, gaming and anime. I feel like that it like, because even me back in the day, I wanted to be a game tester or a game dev, and I still have a lot of respect for the game devs, because they be on the C plus plus and like the Unreal and the C# and all that stuff, or Unity.
Mhm.
So I still respect all of those people, definitely. So if you could give your top three, right? Just your top three like favorite animes now. I'm not just ones that everyone knows as popular, but just your personal choice. Your top three like right now currently.
Mm. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, always my number
Okay,
one.
so
One Piece for my big three, and then probably like Hunter x Hunter
mm,
is my third. If I'm picking like classics for sure, like, I have a million on my list, but those are my quick three fire ones for sure. What about you? What you got, since you're an anime person too?
see. Ooh, I haven't watched anime in a while. I would say for the Pokemon, I know Pokemon. Sometimes people try and put Pokemon like in like a corner over there, because it's not as what to say, like as
Cartoons,
dramatic or
kind
dense,
of.
right? But I
Yeah.
watch, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. They be trying to put in a, but it's from Japan, so like technically it's an anime. Anyway, so I watch all of that. I watched it from like season like one, Kanto, all the way up to the Alola arc, right? So that's pretty much that's a thousand
I don't even
plus
know that.
episodes, right? So Pokemon is probably my favorite. Yeah, this is my favorite because I played the games and I watched the show. Second, this is a hard one honestly because I haven't watched one in a. Oh, I would put Serial Experiments Lane. That's one I watched last year. And you being in tech or anyone in tech, I think that's one that everyone should definitely watch because this kind of has a tech psychological like thriller horror type. It's really interesting. It's very fascinating. Like it's an old one, but it was kind of showing how modern society is pretty much. So I'll put Serial Experiments Lane in there. And a random one, The God of High School. And that's a really obscure one, but I used to play this game called like Lost Saga. And in the game, they had characters from The God of High School. It's not a manga, it's a manhwa because it's from
Hmm.
Korea, right? But
Yeah,
it's in the same realm.
yeah,
So I'll put Pokemon, Serial Experiments Lane, and God of High School. But those are just like obscure ones. Those are like in the corner abstract
yeah.
ones. But yeah, I'll put those as my top three.
Yeah, so I mean, I know about Pokemon, but the other two I haven't seen yet. But I've heard good things about God of High School, so I have to check them out for sure.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's definitely a good one. So, and what else do you like to do on your free time? This is a question I actually really like. I always ask this question each episode. So you had like $1 million, right, and a whole entire
Mhm.
month free. All your bills are paid. Your family was good. Your loved ones are good, and you only could spend the money and time doing stuff that you wanted to do. What would you be doing for your time and your money?
Mhm. That's a difficult question because I'm the type of person that has a lot of hobbies. So if you gave me $1 million and I could just go be free, I'd probably just be traveling in all honesty. I might go,
Yeah.
bike pack somewhere, get a luxurious hotel in another country, a long-term Airbnb maybe in Asia. Because traveling is definitely one of my hobbies. Go experience something. I've wanted to learn how to fly a plane for a while, so maybe get a class in aviation school, so stuff like that too. Like I love learning. Like I don't know if you were gonna tell me if I had infinite money, because if I had infinite money, I was gonna go back to school to do something else. In all honesty, like like that's what I do in my free time. But that's just me.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, because traveling is definitely huge. Out of the places you've been so far, like which places have been your favorite?
uh, that's a difficult question to answer. Um, I would say like domestically, like Hawaii. I have a lot of like family
Mm,
memories from there when I was a kid.
that's cool.
We started going there when I was younger. My dad won a competition to go there when we were kids, and
Mm,
he kind of like we kind of fell in love with it. So we made it into a vacation spot for a while. Internationally,
mm,
I really enjoyed my time in Italy. Um, and
mm,
then another like just surprise, to myself. I spent some time in Arizona this
mm.
year for my birthday, and
Sweet.
hot air balloons, kayaking in the middle of like some canyons and horseshoe bend. Like I love just being able to see some good nature and just kind of history, nature,
Yeah.
and just able to kind of walk around. Like I love being able to walk around this experience the world.
Wow. Yeah, no, those are beautiful picks. Hawaii, I definitely want to visit Hawaii too. Like that's high, high, high on my list. Arizona, my girl like often says that she wants to visit there. And Italy is interesting for the historical stuff because like Italy at a point like it was a lot of major things on this planet. I guess like we're like censored through like Italy, you know. So there's a lot of history there. And I was also going to ask you, oh, going back to the cyber stuff, right? So, what new technologies in cyber or tech in like general are like? Because I know you're speaking about the cloud, right? And what other things that have you seen that have been interesting, or vice versa? What other things have you seen that kind of scare you and make you a little cautious?
Mm, I would say, I guess the interesting things that I'm keeping my eyes on right now, like I'm very interested in like mixed reality. So like the new
Okay.
like meta glasses, like all that stuff. Like I think we're heading towards we're heading towards a pitch and change kind of in the industry. Like I watched the interview with Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, and he was talking about the big three technologies that Microsoft are kind of focusing on, and that's AI, quantum, and mixed reality for various reasons. And
Mm,
so each of those things are going to have major cybersecurity components because AI, obviously, people are building AI applications. So you have the entire safety vector you have to worry about, but then you have to also worry about prompt
mm,
injections. Like Anthropic
mm,
did this great series on like, prompt injecting an AI, and it said, you can't tell an AI to hack something, but you can ask it to translate something and say, hey, they were able to, I think, give it something in Hindi or Greek and said, and
wow.
the English prompt was to translate this text, but with inside the Hindi or Greek text, there was actually a command to do something that like illicit that it shouldn't have, and it executed it
Wow.
because the AI took it in as a command versus kind of executing it there. So like, prompt injection is
Mhm.
something, securing AI, and even on the infrastructure side, you said it yourself, Bedrock is something I haven't had a chance to dive into. I know it's important because people are literally using it to kind of stand up all their AI infrastructure. So that lane, quantum is kind of seen as the death of cybersecurity in some ways because once quantum computing becomes a thing, PKI, public key infrastructure, all of that stuff like public and private key infrastructure kind of goes away because it becomes very easy to calculate those big numbers needed to, I think it's prime numbers needed to kind of like decrypt those keys. And then mixed reality is just cool. I think we just kind of see it with the meta glasses for now, but like there's already medical applications coming in about that. And so there's going to be, everybody's recording everything right now. We know about companies like Palantir as well. Like, and so your face is always being digested. And so it's going to be very interesting to see like where all that data goes and how that's secured as well, too. So those are the things that I'm like excited about, scared about. We could talk about that for days in all honesty.
Yeah, all of that stuff is like super, super interesting. The mixed reality stuff. It's I remember I'm gonna give you this visual and like I think this is mixed. Yeah, it was more so AR, or so
Same
anyway.
thing.
When I had the Nintendo DS, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So Nintendo 3DS, they had these cards, and you kind of like scan it, and then it would get like a 3D visual of like Mario through your camera. So that was pretty cool, and also VR as well. VR, I haven't been in it in a while, but VR was super fun and like addictive. I could easily see how people could be in there for like months and weeks because I was in VR chat. So that stuff was really fascinating. The quantum part, they have this thing you probably know more about. They call it like they get all these hashes right or these like now, and then they're basically going to plan. Well, the bad actors, like the unethical hackers, they take all these different cryptographic like data, right, and then they basically store it, and then when quantum gets better, they basically plan to like de like encrypt it because the quantum computers could do it
Quickly, yeah.
quicker. But as well, I think that would take some time because usually when these things first come out, it's the people with a lot of money, it's the government, or it's the universities who get it first, right? The common
Mhm.
person usually can't afford like a quantum thing just as easy, right? So it's going to take a bit of time for that to happen, but I think I'm getting there. So hopefully on our end, we just make more cryptographic like algorithms and hashes that are a bit more strong to kind of like combat that. And you also say in the quantum, the AI, well, the AI stuff, of course, because AI has been like center stage
Yeah.
this entire year. Like, it's
Yeah.
interesting. My friend was asking me, do I use AI? I'm like, what? What's at this point, AI is like water. Like, you know how you wake up and you like just drink water, take a shower? Like, AI is like everywhere. Like, you can't even escape it if you even try to. But all of that stuff is super, super fascinating. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, times are changing.
Yeah.
Quantum, I think, has the biggest chance. Well, quantum and AI are probably the
Mm,
two biggest disruptors to the cybersecurity industry for various reasons. And so, quantum
mm,
is going to change how we effectively secure. AI is just another way that people use the internet, and it's going to cause more and more issues because everybody's putting their data into everything. And so, it's going to become more and more of a problem in all honesty. But that's just how the world goes. People got to make money. People are going to have their fun. And so it's security's job, as I always say, to find ways to give people the confidence to go faster and to do what they got to do. So there is no stopping
right.
that type of progress. Like quantum computing when it comes out, if it comes out, is going to
Mhm.
be mass produced, and so that means we're gonna have to change how we secure our infrastructure.
Right. And it's fascinating because it's a constant game of cat and mouse, because on both sides, both parties are getting smarter and stronger with every single new technology. Like, because I feel like when people they see a new technology, they're like, oh, I could just use this to like have my apps on my website, right? But they got to realize as soon as that technology comes out, whether it's software, hardware, people are trying to break it and use it for like crime, like immediately, right? So it's like on both sides, it's just like kind of expanding for what the people on the ethical side could do and the people on the unethical side could do. So it's very fascinating. It's definitely very, very fascinating. Earlier, I was asking you about discipline, right? And then you brought up the books you had in like the back. So you were speaking about Atomic Habits, I believe. But like, what other books have kind of helped you on your just tech or your self help journey?
I can name a list. I think I'm a forever student of a lot of different things, but one of them has always been like communication. And so, like,
Mm,
being able to effectively listen, be an empathetic, active person. So, one book that I kind of got put onto a long time ago was "Set Boundaries, Find Peace" by, I can't say her name. I can't say her name. But "Set Boundaries, Find Peace," nonviolent communication, and so it's the art of active listening and conflict resolution as well too. And that's so necessary for, I think, anybody trying to like make it through corporate America, especially in cybersecurity, where you're kind of seen as the problem child sometimes. I Anybody who works with me, I'm typically come across as the person like, hey, I'm here to help. I am not trying to be a stickler. I'm not trying to like put you down. I'm just here to help. What is the most optimal way for us to do that? Like, so that's my communications bag. I would say from like a presence thing, I really enjoyed Simon Sinek's "Start with Why." That kind of helped me, regain some of my focus. I would say, after some career disruptions, and then Eckhart Tolle's "The Power of Now" is another kind of reinforcing agent of just, hey, see opportunity, do opportunity. Like right now is the best time for you to make your life the best it could ever be. And so, no matter what you got going on, like you can make things better. You just have to really believe it and kind of dive into that.
wow. And all of those are like beautiful because I've heard of most of them. The one I probably haven't heard of is the Set Boundaries and Find Peace one. But no, all those books are like definitely super important because it's just important to kind of, especially you saying in cyber, to be able to kind of like put good things inside, because we're living in the industry that can be so fast paced and so rough. And then there's also like the human aspects and like the politics, right? So I'm just now learning this in my career. I'm just now learning about like this etiquette and like politics and like this. Like I'm just now learning about all of this stuff. So it's very important to have both sides, like the technical side and the people skill side, and have both of them aligned. And I was looking on your LinkedIn earlier, and it was saying that you were a founder of, where is it at? You probably know the
You talk about the cyber crew.
uh, yes, the Cyber Crew, the Cyber
Yeah,
Crew. So tell
yeah.
me more about that.
So that's my
'Cause-
nonprofit actually. It's been a little bit dormant lately, but the goal of the Cyber Crew is basically to serve as a vehicle for mentorship. It's kind of what I do in my free time anyway. So it's responding to
Mhm.
people's questions, it's giving them insights, it's pushing articles on like what I find interesting. Anything related to cybersecurity and or tech that you have questions about, like, that's the goal. That's the goal of the organization, to kind of get people engaged, like access to what I know, because I feel like I definitely struggled in my career. I don't think it's necessary to repeat that. And so, yeah, you can find it pretty much anywhere at Cyber Crew. Yeah, on
Mhm.
Instagram, LinkedIn right now are our main vehicles.
Wow. And that's definitely beautiful because I've kind of had a similar experience of kind of just like coaching or mentoring and just like kind of being like a guiding, like just a voice of like a calming voice, right? Because I feel like a lot of times people there's a lot of technical stuff, but then the psychological stuff is just as pertinent. So being
Mhm.
able to like give back and help people is a really fulfilling thing. I always use the example. It's almost like a glimpse to how I think parents feel. Because how parents like they gradually help a child grow. But when
Mhm.
you're coaching and mentoring, you get the same level of fulf- fulfillment in
Mhm.
just like a short amount of time.
Mhm.
But like no, that's definitely beautiful, beautiful stuff. And you're like LinkedIn, right? So I know you were speaking like earlier about how in your work you were like reaching out to this team and this manager, right? So have you done the same thing in terms of social media and going to like events? Like, are you like going to this event, going to that event, and messaging this person and that person? How do you go about that?
Yeah, yeah, I try to stay pretty present and active in the community, both in tech and cybersecurity. I think conferences like big shout out to Render, big shout out to Techsgiving, shout out to Afrotech, shout out to Baddies and Techs for sure. If you're in New York, make sure you go to BaddyCon. They have a great presence up there. Um, I try to go to any conference where people, of like attainment are at. I try to stay involved in my local communities as well too. And so I think like ISC squared, I haven't had a chance to really dive in deep with them yet, but one of my favorite orgs is called Cyversity. If you haven't heard of them, you should look them up. Great group to join for both students and professionals. $20 a year for students, I think, $100 a year for professionals, worth every bit of the value because it just gives you so much access to the right people. Like I got a chance to meet with the CISO, Carnival Cruise Lines, professionals that worked at Google, lots of scholarships. And so like anytime I tell anybody to do this, I'm like, hey, yeah, definitely join Cyversity. Get involved with them. They have a lot of great stuff you can kind of do with as well. Another good one is called Share the Mic in Cybersecurity. There's a lot of digital groups. I think the AppSec fam is still around. They have a growing community on LinkedIn. I'm a part of that. Like I join groups, I listen, I take the freebies. I'm always doing it because it always pays off in the end to kind of have your name out there and to have a good name out there too.
Yeah, definitely being partnered with these different organizations and this the connections you make and the reputation you build, like it helps a lot because whether you want to start your own business and be like an entrepreneur, or
Mhm.
whether you want to go further in your career, or whether you want to be like a social media brand, like regardless of like what path you're going, it starts with people and networking. And if you could know how to connect with and even lead a group of people, you will be good regardless of where you go on the planet. Because if you could lead and then have like a safe space for people,
Mhm.
right, and you're giving them resources and you're asking questions and you're engaged, like it'll take you like really really far. So I definitely agree with like everything you were saying and like in regards to that. And so also, where do you live in? Where do you live? Do you live in New York?
No, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, actually.
You're in Atlanta. That's why you
Yeah,
said render like ATL.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
render ATL.
Yeah, shout out to Render for sure. Those guys are great.
Yeah. Yeah. So how is the tech? Because I know a render ATL like over there, but what other big tech events or how is the tech scene or the cyber scene in that area?
I think Atlanta's tech scene is very young and growing. Like if you're a young black
Really?
professional in Atlanta, I think you have some of the best opportunities to connect with people. There are so many groups popping up. There's so many events. You have access to places like Georgia Tech, KSU, Georgia State. Like you can go there. The tech professionals typically have their brands here. So like one of my good friends has a brand called Niche, where it's about kind of like cultivating tech individuals together and kind of like driving them to connect and communicate, especially in the product space. You have Invest Fest in Atlanta as well. Just like it's
Mhm.
actually like Atlanta is a great place to be a techie in all honesty because you get to meet people of your age, which it wasn't like this pre-COVID, but things have changed and the city has kind of
Yeah.
grown up a lot. And so I'm grateful for that.
Wow, that's beautiful. Like I love Atlanta because I'm from Philly. And one
Mm,
thing I love about Atlanta, there's so much black people. Like I'm from Philly, right? I was raised around black people, but in Atlanta, I remember being and every single person was black. Like every like I like you could not like it was
yeah.
only lonely people. So I love like I'm like extremely biased towards like there. So no, that's definitely beautiful. And what are some of your plans for the rest of the year? Because I know that you're working on your AWS certification, and like what other things are you going to be focusing on?
So I think the solution architect is just a big commitment to myself. I want to go ahead and take care of that. And I'm really just kind of starting to think about how I kind of want my next year to look in all honesty.
Mm,
From like, a professional standpoint and then from a personal one too. And so it's been a good year. I would say I learned a lot.
mm.
I grew a lot in my professional sense. I kind of had to recenter myself. And so it's just about how I kind of make next year a little bit more organized, a little bit more structured to kind of grow from there. So that's kind of it in all honesty. And enjoying the holidays too, man. Like it's been like we worked hard. I'm ready to eat some good holiday food. Like I'm ready to just chill out for a second. So that's what it's coming
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel because it's been the year is it's crazy because you know at the start of the year it feels oh yeah this year is gonna be like it's gonna I'm gonna have time but then at the end of the year you're almost like where did the year even go like what did what did I even do
For
but I know it's
sure.
definitely been a lot you know so definitely the holiday season I know like a lot of people are gonna enjoy that so is your family based in Atlanta too like were you born and raised there like do you have like siblings like where your family at like but yeah, like where's your family at as well?
Yeah, so I'm actually not from Atlanta. I typically will. I'll never say I'm from Atlanta. I never do that. But people, I'll tell them you don't know where I'm actually from, but I'm from Georgia. But I'm from a small city called Albany, Georgia. So like a
Oh,
country town, like three and a
mm,
half hours south of here. And so
mm,
I came to Atlanta to go to KSU, go Owls, and back in 2014 to date myself a little bit, and I just
mm,
never left. And so I've been here, my entire adult life. But I
mm.
never claim that I'm from here. I'm always from South Georgia, born and raised.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. And no, yeah, I'm definitely excited to like visit there in the future. And so, who are some of the I would say if you do have any of these, your mentors or your role models or your teachers or just like people who influenced you or just guided you on your journey?
I'd say like the first person has to be, I have to give a huge shout out to Nicole Dove. The Cyber Dove is her kind of handle. She's
Mm.
currently working at Riot Games.
Okay.
She was my first point of contact in security. She's the one who gave me my, I guess technically second job, but my first real job in cyber as well too. And like we still like I was on the phone with her like 2 hours ago. We still talk about everything. That's one of my closest friends.
Wow.
Another professional, great professional, Chris Thorpe, former Cox director. He kind of gave me the other side of the technical aspects there. He kind of tell me, hey, if you want to make a game plan for the rest of your career, this is how you do it professionally.
Mm.
Um, the list really goes on, man. I have mentors for some of everything, my family,
Wow.
like for how I want to buy a house,
Yeah.
how I want to stay in shape, like
Yeah.
I find the community for everything I have going on in my life. And so like, yeah, but if you want to look for somebody, I can give a shout out, go to Nicole. Um,
Mm.
her brand is amazing. What she does is amazing. She has an enterprise mindset for the security stuff, and she knows how to make it work.
Wow. But that's like beautiful because you know what we see people, but then oftentimes we don't always see who supported them on that journey. So that's why I like often ask that questions because it's not like we just popped out like of nowhere, like oh we're just a cyber master out of nowhere. You know, there are people who kind of helped us on our journey. So that's definitely beautiful. So I'm gonna look into her stuff um later, and I was also gonna ask as well. Um, who are some of your mentees or up in how did I say this up and coming people or people you feel like like new people in the industry you feel like should get some like energy or like attention as well.
She wants to kill me right now because I have not called her in a minute. But one of them is her name is Destiny Slayton. Um, she
Mm.
probably met like almost 3.5, 4 years ago. And I mean, I don't think I've ever met anybody with such a good work ethic as her. Like she has the
Wow.
absolute best work ethic in my like she became the Azure girly. Like she just did it. She locked in and she sat down and she studied and all while she has two kids.
Mm.
And so like her dedication, her hustle, like it puts me to shame. Like, like
Wow.
I feel like she deserves everything because of how she works. And so I love just seeing her do what she does. Um,
Mm.
Dylan Johnson, is another guy. He hit me up on LinkedIn randomly. He just DM'd me and said he wanted to do the thing, and I gave him everything that I knew. Like, hey, this is what I do if I was in your shoes. He did it. Like he did it consistently. Like those two, they're great. They
Mm.
both got careers in the industry within a year. Within a year,
Mm.
just from
Wow.
asking the right questions to I want to do it, and they did it. They did it consistently. They did it smoothly. Like
Wow.
it wasn't pretty, but they put the work in and they came out on the other side with careers. And so I gotta give a
Wow.
shot at them. They put me to shame. They make me want to work hard because I'm like, man, y'all deserve more than I do. How hard y'all work. Like I love
Wow.
seeing both of them win. Seriously.
Wow. No, that's like beautiful. And it's beautiful to have like just a team or just be around people who are doing great things. And that's why I like being on LinkedIn often because I get like every time I'm on LinkedIn, one of my friends or coworkers, they're getting like a degree a certification, a job, a business, a promotion. So it's really because it's like it rubs off on you too. Like if you were working with this person for like weeks, right, and then they just get a role that's like 300K, 400K, whatever, right? And it's like, well, damn, like I was just working with you every day, and now you up there, So it's definitely really inspiring to be around people like that. And I also wanted to ask, so what's one misconception or one thing you now understand in cyber that at first you didn't know, or like that you were confused about at first, or something that was kind of took you by surprise?
Oh, I think it's what caught me by surprise is just kind of I think that's a tough thing to answer. That's a tough thing to answer because I'm still being surprised.
Yeah.
With every opportunity, I've been in three different roles in cyber now. Um,
Mm,
what I didn't know was just kind of like how movement looks in this industry, how growth looks in this industry. And it's not linear at all. It's you have to have an eye
mm,
for opportunity in cyber for sure. You have to be
mm,
willing to kind of take like that concept of ownership is living and breathing here. Like, I think you can, in some ways, like, kind of coast for a while as a junior engineer,
mm,
and not do as much and still kind of like, progress up. I think in cyber, you'll stay exactly where you're at, if you don't learn how
mm,
to take ownership and really make a name for yourself. And it's your responsibility to do that. It's your responsibility to see a path forward, present it well, pitch it, be confident in that, and kind of drive forward. It's like that surprises me because there's a lot of ugly work. It's not a lot of pretty opportunity in cyber. It's not like, oh, this is a
mm.
golden feature. I'm gonna make this. My career is gonna take off. No, it's ugly. It's boring sometimes. You're gonna do a lot of work that you hate doing every day,
Yeah,
to get to where you want to be at. I'm in the middle of that now, and it's like, hey, you have to do that. Like that's what it takes to be, better. That's what it takes to grow.
Mm. And that's true. And I feel like if the reality you just spoke, I wish that more people would make it clear, right? Because I think online, people they only show the fancy stuff, like, oh, I got into cyber in 1 week and I'm making 200K. It's like, but not everyone is not that simple. Sometimes you do have to grind. Sometimes you do got to stay up late. Sometimes you do got to wake up early. Sometimes you got to do be on call. Sometimes you got to go to a different state where you don't even know anybody, right? So there's a
Mm,
lot of sacrifices to be made, but as long as you have your North Star and are adamant on it, it'll be worth it in the end, because in this it's fascinating as well. Because I think even outside of cyber, I think this is just like a human psychological or spiritual thing. It's like we achieve stuff, right? And as soon as people achieve stuff, they will understand. Like it doesn't, like it never ceases to like end. Like if you get a Rolls Royce today, you're gonna want like something better tomorrow. But I think it's beautiful to be ambitious, right? But
mm,
also not to burn yourself out, right? Because a lot of
mm,
people, I know a slew of people who are trying to get like who are in the same teams as me, and they just quit. They're like, bro, this is too much. Like this is like I'm like I remember in one cohort I was in, it started with like 100 people, it ended with like 40 or 30. And I'm like, where did everyone else go? Like, because this is so rough.
mm.
So definitely, just knowing it will be rough, but being willing to make the sacrifice. Just being willing to make the sacrifice. I feel like is the one of the biggest things, definitely.
Yeah, you said it best. You got to be willing to make the sacrifice. It ain't easy, but I mean, also remember to live your life outside of this 9 to 5 job too,
Right.
because you got to be able, you got to live your life. Like I made that mistake of trying to like buy into, it has to be your passion, it has to be everything, and it just can't. It shouldn't be. Your job is still just that,
Mm.
and don't forget it. Do not forget that. No matter what type of thing you want to do next, be consistent in your goals, drive towards it, but like don't lose yourself because I've done that before and it doesn't, it's not easy to come back from all the time.
Yeah, and that's a very pivotal piece of advice because it's interesting. I feel like you're talking to me actually, like directly, because right now, like I'm studying a lot of Red Hat Enterprise Linux stuff because I just love Linux on my free time. Like my work doesn't really even deal with Linux at all, right? But it's stuff
Mm,
I just love, right? So I made my laptops the same as the in corporate government realm, right? Majority of the servers are running, making my laptops the same as these government servers. So it's going to be a point the stuff I'm learning now on my personal laptop, it will be the same exact thing as work I'm doing in the future, you know? So it's quite, the line is blurring because I'm doing it for my, I'm just like trying to learn how to play like music and watch videos in the terminal, right? But then again, it's gonna be what I'm doing for work. So I feel like you don't have to be aware. As long as you're aware of like making sure that your mental and emotional state is clear and your loved ones, you spend the time with your loved ones, you're still actually doing other things you love, just being aware of
Mhm.
that, right? Because you, the thing about me, because I actually love tech, so I could get lost in it. Like I could be in like this stuff for like weeks and be fine, right? But
Mm.
there's other things to be done, you know, like there's places to travel, there's family to see, there's other things to do as well. So just keeping that in mind as well is very important. Yeah. And I was gonna, so I know you were speaking about these organizations here, and you were given the couple events that you have been to. So with crew like well, cyber crew, like cyber crew, right? Is it
Mhm.
something that, because you were saying that you were thinking about what is going to be the focus for you next year, right? So the cyber crew, is this something that you're seeing yourself like putting more time into and like expanding, or having what do you call them, contractors or employees or volunteers? Like, do you think you would just keep it something to like to yourself, or do you plan to expand it more in the future?
I give you a TBD on that, but just know
Okay.
the
Yeah.
focus of it is more so on community impact than anything else. Is That's the part of life where it's not about necessarily making money, but it's more about helping people.
Impact. Yeah.
Yeah,
Impact. Mhm.
yeah,
No, that,
social impact for sure.
yeah, that like makes all of the sense. And we have about like I think 6 or so minutes left, but I wanted to give you a bit of time to. I know you shared a lot of stuff, but just like just share your contacts, your social media, your handles, your projects, your and like anything you want to share. Like now is the time.
Oh, yeah. So anybody watching this, you can find me at Cam Johnson, CISSP on LinkedIn. You can find us on Instagram at the Cyber Crew as well too, if you want to kind of figure out my handles there. Those are the main ones I'm broadcasting right now. If you ever want to talk to me, I'll respond to your LinkedIn messages. I'm down to meet up, whatever you want to have. Um, I love to connect with people. I love to answer questions, and so please don't ever hesitate to do that.
Sweet. Sounds good. Sounds good. And I also got to ask you about the CISSP. Like that's major. So like the CISSP is one exam I've heard like 5 or 6 people say that they cried. Like they literally cried when they had to get the CISSP. So if you could just speak a bit more about that and your experience with that.
So it starts with diversity always. They had a scholarship program for it. I signed up for it, and honestly, I made no time to study for it. Like I was so deep in this difficult job I had, and I was kind of just trying to remain focused there, and so I didn't give it too much time. I ended up losing the job. Our contract ended
Mhm.
September of last year, and
Wow.
I was like, hey, I got a few months to pass this test, and so I kind of just buckled down for about 2 months
Sweet.
and took it. Um,
Wow.
the exam, it's interesting. Like, I think my perspective is a little lucky because I worked as a BISO in the entertainment industry, and if you know what BISO is, it's Business Information Security Officer, and so you're an agent of the CISO out in the business unit, basically. So you have to kind of have that enterprise business operational context, and you have to be good at that. And so that is what the
Mhm.
CISSP is about. It's about being able to read a context from a business standpoint, identify the technological layers, and then provide cybersecurity guidance to that from operational
Mhm.
context. And so that is the core ethos of the CISSP. And so for me, I was actually, it wasn't that bad. Like I'm not even trying to brag. It wasn't that bad, but it's probably because I had to suffer for, a few years in my day job
Right.
to get to that point. And I
Right.
kind of just I don't I can't say I take the knowledge that I have for granted. I was just
Mhm.
lucky enough to work in a way that kind of made it so that that was kind of front and center in my brain at all times. So that's kind of how I think about work as well too.
Mhm. Well, no, like that's like beautiful though, because if you got like all of this experience and knowledge during work, it's like you kind of were already studying in a sense. Like
Yeah.
be like where you actually start to study for the exam, you had the actual real world experience. And I feel like the real world experience will always be like more valuable than the like cert, because the cert just like kind of validates it in a sense. But if you already have the actual experience, that's even more so important. So no, that's definitely beautiful. And besides the Sec Plus and the CISSP, like what other certifications do you have, or what other certifications do you feel like have helped you on your journey?
I only have three certifications actually. Sec Plus was my gateway in. First University, I got a SAN certification, but it was pretty foundational. So I would say that was just more about trying to get access to other certs. And the
Mm-hmm.
CISSP, I think, has kind of reinforced how I thought about being a security leader for sure. Um, I am trying to deviate from that track. Like I don't want to just be a security generalist. And so hence why I'm diving into
Right.
cloud security, DevSecOps as well
Uh,
too. So like right now it's more about just
mm,
kind of learning tools and tech versus certifications. But I think that anybody trying to get into the industry should get a security plus just because
yeah.
like do that. It gets you past the AI, resume
The
filters,
ATS.
like the ATS, like yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like get the security, get this, just do it. Takes 3 4 months. Join Cyversity, join some of these other orgs that are giving out scholarships. Like I'm sure I think there's Black Girls Hack, Blacks in
Mm,
Cybersecurity, Black Cybersecurity
yeah.
Association. Like there are so many organizations giving out scholarships. Just find one, join it, get the scholarship, take the test, pass it, like use those resources. And then from there, like I'd say I wouldn't say stop the cert grind, but like start focusing on like a particular technology and just kind of go there. Like do that.
Right.
Like do what interests you in that case versus like just trying to like continue to grind certifications because some people are just professional test takers, you don't want to be the person that can take a test but can't actually show up at work and get something done. And so
Yeah.
balance that hands-on experience with also like having a bit of technical expertise is what I say.
Oh no, I definitely agree on that. Being able to balance it out, because on the opposite end, I know people who have like 9 or 8 certs who still can't find a job. So it's like you definitely gotta balance it out and not just like waste your time just like solely chasing the certs. Like do chase the certs, but also do other things on top of that. And I want to give a quick shout out to, you were thinking about these different organizations and getting the scholarship. Shout out to Diversity Cyber Council, because they are actually how I got my CompTIA Tech Plus and my CompTIA Sec Plus for free. Right. So shout out to them as well. But no, I definitely appreciate your time and energy and wisdom. And I know you shared like a ton of like resources. So I know the viewers will get a lot of value out of this. And yeah, you could say any last words if you want.
Like if you're watching this and you're trying to break into any industry, I don't care if it's cyber tech, whatever, like, and good luck. Like, remember what you're doing is not easy, which is why you're probably struggling to get into it. So, like, keep that in the back of your mind that the progress towards your goals, like, you have not picked a simple journey to go on. You pick something very complicated, and it will pay off if you do the work. It'll pay off if you continue to put your best foot forward and find the right people. Keep putting yourself out there. Don't get discouraged. And you'll make it to the end. You just got to believe that. So, like, that's what I'll say to everybody, and that's what I say to myself every day because I have my moments too.
Mm, agreed. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Cool. See you later.